Hello, hello, hello! Greetings, salutations, konnichiwa, and every other form of green across this vast, marvelous multiverse. I am Matsu Quinox. This is Horace, and welcome back, my dear, marvelous, wonderful scholars, to the study. Hello there, hello there, hello there! Hello there, cool skeleton. Congratulations on getting first. Hello there, Yulian 20. Heidi ho to you as well. Hello there, Darth. How are you, stout, lusty men? Yes, I'm gonna talk like they talk in the books. And yay, movie time. Yes, indeed, indeed. Indeed, we're doing a little thing differently tonight. But first, Darth, wait a movie. I can't torture you. No, you really can't with a movie. No, no, no. No, you can't, can you? I beat you. I beat you, Darth. How are you all doing, my dear scholars? Are Julian? Julian takes that back. I have a popcorn kernel aimed right at your head if you do not take that back. Take that back right now. Take it back. Julian 20, no. How dare you? How dare you? Are you talking back to me at my own stream? Dare you're you're going too far. I'm gonna. My arms are jammed under the table. Can't. Popcorn too heavy. Can't remove it. Darth, well, in other news, how hot it is. I've gone through 6 to 7 bottles of water. Oh, there's that number. And 69. And there's that other number. Grams of sugar. Wonderful, wonderful, Darth. Wonderful. Yulian 20. Okay, fine. I take it back. Well, good. About time you see some sense. Oh, ah, sneezing. Mm. Oh my goodness gracious. I got a little allergies. Here. Mm. 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 Ah! Darth, okay, now start the wheel before I find more ways to torture you. Give me time, give me time. I want to make sure everyone's okay. My day was actually okay. I mean, it was we were working in the study, and it was kind of meh, and it was kind of meh, it was kind of bleh, and it was hot in places, and it was very tough, and lifting all these sort of books and things, and it was really, 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 really annoying. And by the time of it, I was just done. I was done. I'm just having a done moment today, and it was yeah. And last night I was having a rough time too. Although I once again visited Sysnox, who has been doing some work on my teeth. Yes, omniversal concepts can have some teeth problems. It only manifests on other omniversal concepts. And now the back of my teeth feel really weird. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Still getting used to it. Still getting used to it. I mean, there's manifestations of me I've heard from other beings who have witnessed me where I don't actually have a mouth, and I would prefer those manifestations sometimes. I mean, do I really need one? I have a perfectly good mind. Oh, hello there, Dr. Zadium. Welcome. Hello to you too. Julian 20, I am nifty, hot, human, and buggy. Julian 20, you. Oh, don't judge Julian 20. I mean, in some parts of the omniverse, that's perfectly normal. I mean, there's a part of the omniverse where people, after they eat, they will. Oh, I wanted to point that out. That's a new safety feature here in the study. If I say something that is likely to upset you, dear scholars, or is knowledge that you're not supposed to hear, it automatically cuts off. Yeah. Like talking about the universe where people like that. See? Darth, it hit 110 Fahrenheit by me today. Could have cooked eggs outside. Ooh, sidewalk egg. Yummy. Julian 20. Wow. Yes, indeed. That is that's very freaky. That's kind of scary actually. Ah. Oh, so anyway, we should talk about tonight, shouldn't we? Tonight, my dear, marvelous, wonderful scholars, we are going to be watching a movie. It's been a while since we watched a movie together, hasn't it? And the movie I've chosen for us to watch is another silent film. I mean, silent films are in the public domain. It's easier to show that. From 1922. Julian 20. Hooray for Hollywood. Da, 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 da. And it is a Hollywood film, yes. The movie in question is 1922's Douglas Fairbanks in Robin Hood. That's the actual title, by the way. Most people shorten it to just Robin Hood, but the actual official title is Douglas Fairbanks in Robin Hood. Has a bit of a Doctor Who and the Silurians vibe to it, doesn't it? I mean, it just seems a little bit too much. But that's the title. It was not the first film version of Robin Hood. There was an earlier one in, I believe, let me see, I've got my notes here. There was an earlier one in 1912. Um, but there probably were earlier versions of Robin Hood too. Robin Hood's very popular. I mean, let's face it. And in fact, there's a new movie version of Robin Hood out now, I believe, called The Death of Robin Hood, which is yet another rewording of the Robin Hood legend. Hello there, Private Maverick. Welcome. Good evening, Firefly. Welcome, Darth. So I can't say men clad in Lincoln green. Technically it is. Technically not. Cool skeleton. Tight tights. Yes, yes, there are tights in this. But yes, this film is. It's a later true. It's one of the most popular ones too. Before the 1930s version, I believe that was 1934, Adventures of Robin Hood. This was the Robin Hood film. And so, my dear scholars, shall we begin our showing of Douglas Fairbanks in Robin Hood? What say you? My nose. Julian 20, yes, please. Okay. So, Dr. Zadium, yes, and congratulations on the 3-stream streak, Dr. Zadium. All right. All right. So then, my dear scholars, sit back, relax, bring out your popcorn and any of your snacks that you want to eat during this film. Um, dim the lights if you wish. Darth, my favorite movie version of Robin Hood is Disney's version where the characters are talking animals. 1971's version. And let us begin our watch of Douglas Fairbanks in Robin Hood. And as usual, I'll be giving trivia and notes and discussions during the movie. Oh, I forgot to mention that. And please tell me if the sound isn't working or anything like that. Or if you can't see the video. Oh, here we go. So this movie is in the public domain now. It's narrated in a lot of woods. Technical Raw, Robert Fairbanks. We have pretty good cast. Wallace Beery, of course, who was not as friendly as his acting characters were. Alan Hale as Little John. Now, I'll bring that up when he shows up. Earl of Huntington, afterwards Robin Hood, Douglas Fairbanks. Julian 20, Alan Hale again. Yes, I'll get to that in a moment. So fleet the works of men back to their earth again. Ancient and holy things fade life, a dream. Dr. Zadium, Little John needs his little buddy. Funny you say that, Dr. Zadium. Alan Hale is the father of Alan Hale Jr. Stately castles whose turrets pierce the sky have left imperishable records. Through the storm, those storms of centuries have laid waste the works of men. Their spirit soars on, and poets make love again the days of chivalry. Oh, hello there, Jazov, the wicked welcome! I just saw you! It was Little John, huh? Also, hello, yes! And they look and act almost exactly the same. It's amazing. That is true! They really do. They talk the same, pretty much. So this, my dear scholars, medieval England, England in the Age of Faith. Her chronicles tell of warriors and statesmen, of royal crusaders, jousting knights. Her ballads sing of jolly friars, of troubadours, of gallant outlaws who roamed her mighty forests. Oh, congratulations on the 10-stream streak, Private Maverick. Julian 20, silent film? Yes, this is a silent film. Can everyone hear the music? Okay, though. History in its ideal state is a compound of legend. I missed that. Okay, so this thing. This castle was the largest set ever built in Hollywood at the time. It was made of wood, wire, and plaster. And here comes the jester, yay. The exception was the concrete floor and the wood-covered steel drawbridge. And there's Wallace Beery as King Richard. Excitement rises high for the final event in a tournament. So this thing was huge. In fact, there was a story that Fairbanks was so overwhelmed by the scale of the sets that he actually thought of canceling the entire film. Because Fairbanks both wrote the story... Did he direct it? No, he did not direct it. But he wrote the story and he starred it, of course. From far and near have come all of them. It's hard to keep up. Hello there, One True L. Welcome! My grandmother used to play the piano at silent films. Interesting. Darth, Royal Crusaders, so not the kind of that Crusader corrupted is, yes. And so the lofty battlements of the castle look down upon the chivalry of England in all its glory. Now this is interesting because that is an entire set. This entire prologue is not usually featured in the Robin Hood legends. In fact, Robin Hood isn't always a noble. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. It's very dependent. Richard of the Lionheart, England's immortal king, impulsive, generous, and brave, and actually in real life he was a bit of a jerk. Not gonna lie. Yeah, he's kind of a pig too. But table manners. Oh, no. Prince John, the king's brother, sinister dour, his heart inflamed with an unholy desire to succeed to Richard's throne. Well, don't worry, John, you're gonna succeed anyway at some point. Private Maverick. Sometimes Robin Hood is known as Robin of Locksley. I think that is true, Private Maverick. That is a trained falcon, a real one. Of the clash of lance and steel and joust and tourney, the fairest maiden was chosen to reign for the day as the queen of love and beauty. Aw. But, Richard, the real Richard, Maid Marian. Maid Marian actually featured later in many of the Robin Hood myths. Later, Lady Marian Fitzwalter, from whose slim white hands would fall the chaplet of valor on the victorious knight. So, Richard, the real Richard, for one thing, he spoke almost entirely French. he had little to no interest in England. In fact, he once said if he could sell England, he would. Sir Guy of Gisborne, intimate of Prince John, and one of the 2 contenders for the championship. Guy of Gisborne doesn't always appear in the Robin Hood stories, and in fact, the book version that I read for you, my dear scholars, had Sir Guy only appear in 1 chapter and basically get killed off pretty quickly. Where was I? Oh yes, Richard. He didn't really care for England. In fact, he didn't spend much time in England. He preferred his holdings in Normandy. He was, by all accounts, more a soldier than anything. Your veil for a favor, fair lady, that you may see it worn in victory. Oh, shutting him down right away. Give me 1 second. The other contender for the championship, favorite of King Richard, the Earl of Huntington, Douglas Fairbanks. Oh, no, it's great costume, it's great. That is kind of funny. Darth, what would you classify Robin Hood as? He steals from the rich and gives to the poor, which is a crime. Crimes make people bad. At the same time, he's doing this out of love. Is he a hero or a vigilante or anti? He's an anti-hero. And there's Little John. So Alan Hale, as mentioned, as some of you noticed, Alan Hale has played Little John before. Or rather, this is his first time. He would later play Little John again 16 years later in The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938, opposite Errol Flynn. And then again in 1950 in a movie called Rogues of Sherwood, which basically was one of the longest periods for any actor to appear in the same major role in a film. But you know, I can't blame him because he's actually pretty good. Yeah, pardon me, I'm opening a drink. To gain unfair advantage, Sir Guy straps himself to his saddle. Can you even do that with I don't know if you could do that with a saddle back then. I don't think you could. As I mentioned before, in many silent films, you'll notice tinting is involved here. This is actually originally what a silent film would look like if you went to the movie theaters. It's not black and white, it is tinted. Firefly, guessing that might also be due to the size generally cast for that role. Yes, yes indeed. Hello there, Zen, welcome! Just in time to watch the movie. Now, brother, I'll gauge you this against your prize falcon that Huntington wins the day. Hello there, Kinshon, welcome as well. Everyone's coming in. Now, John in real life is an interesting character. He was never expected to take the throne. He was, I believe, the third born, I think? Because it was Richard, Geoffrey, and John, I believe. On the Marshal inspect the equipment of the but John was, by all accounts, because he wasn't expected to become king. Darth, everyone is coming in. No, 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 God, no, bad, bad, Darth, me behave. Yes, you behave. Drazov, don't forget Henry the oldest. Yes, I forgot Henry. Thank you, Drazov. Henry the Younger, who actually did succeed for a brief time as his father's co-king. Thank you, Drazov, for the reminder. He was, because it was Henry II, who had Henry the Younger, and Henry the Younger did die before the others. Richard, Drazov, the family was so utterly whacked, it's amazing. It is amazing. But John was never expected to succeed to the throne. In fact, they splintered their lances, even ever a good omen for Huntington. Ha ha ha. But John, in fact, was given almost no inheritance, which is why he was very often given the unflattering nickname of John Lackland. Lackland, as you notice. I double mine on Huntington. But so for the most part, John was actually sent to study for the clergy, as was often with younger nobles or royals. He had a vast collection of books. Union 20, because he lacks land, yes. He had a vast collection of books. He could speak several languages. By all accounts, he was fairly intelligent. Then, he's basically a puppet. His mother, Eleanor of Aquitaine, was the one in charge after Richard, if I could find someone to buy London, I'd settle it and move it to France. Lionheart got held hostage during the Crusade. Yes, indeed. That is true. That happened. Yeah, John was very intelligent, could speak several languages. By all accounts, had a big, big collection of books that he adored. But also, by all accounts, he had a terrible temper. Often had bouts of rages, uncontrollable rages. Did not like being contradicted or spoken to, or not spoken to, but he was very stubborn. He was not a very personable person. So in many ways, his flaws outweighed his good side. Then, and the horrible taxes were levied in order to buy Richard's freedom, and it worked. Yes, it did work. In fact, John. The thing with the taxes that people often get wrong, in some respects, Darth. I could say 6 to 7 in many languages. I know how to say it in France. I noticed that. Darth, thank you. Huntington hath proved his knightly mettle. We hereby decree that on this holy crusade he shall be our second in command. And this is the third crusade, by the way, my dear scholars. Which ended with the Crusaders never taking Jerusalem. Where am I? Oh, sorry. But Julian 20, how many crusades? I don't recall off the top of my head. There were many. The Fourth Crusade especially is infamous for how wrong it went. None of the crusades were good, but the fourth is a I hate to use the word to swear, an absolute clusterfuck of mishap and problems. The taxes were interesting. Then there were hundreds of small crusades, but only the major ones were counted. Yes, indeed. The taxes were interesting because, from what I recall, and I can be corrected, the poor really weren't taxed that much. Much of the problems and many of the people who complained about the taxes were not the poor. I mean, why tax the poor? They really don't have anything. Much of the tax issues were from the rich. Mainly because John chose to tax money directly rather than goods and services, which was indeed the tradition in England at the time. You didn't tax the money, you taxed military services and things. Kinshon, rich people don't like paying taxes, some things never change. Yes, indeed. And in fact, Magna Carta, which is much later with John, was mainly put in place because the rich just didn't want to be taxed and just wanted to say, hey, we're in control, we get to say who takes money from us and who doesn't. And oh my goodness gracious. Richard, careful there, you're going to get a hernia. So my favorite one was where a bunch of peasants just followed a duck, like a random duck that started moving eastward, and some random priest was like, that duck was chosen by God to lead us to the Holy Land, and they all followed this poor duck till it died of exhaustion. Then they moped around for a bit and returned home. It sounds familiar, yes. There was all sorts of crazy crusades going on, some real tragic ones that... And the Crusades were mainly put in as an excuse to keep people, the soldiers in Europe, from essentially raiding and pillaging each other. Another woman? Kintron, if someone weighs the same as a duck, they're a witch, or so I've heard. In the great hall of the castle, the feasting that followed close upon the tournament has lasted far into the dawn. This was an absolute, again, tremendous set they built. And this movie, in fact, was one of the most expensive at the time, with a budget estimated of $1 million, which is approximately, in last year's money, $19.23 million. Union 20, is that a matte painting? I can't tell, honestly. The film was a smash hit, though. In fact, it was such a smash hit that people who were driving by the theater in Hollywood to see the film, the tour stop didn't mention the theater, but would say, in fact, everyone off to see Robin Hood. Ladies' eyes speak courage to their knights. This is the first film also to have a gala premiere. A theater owner, Sid Gauman, conceived the idea, and the premiere was held at Gauman's brand new Egyptian Theater in Hollywood. Drazov, this is the start? Yes, this is the start of all that. This movie was huge. Now, this scene was originally supposed to have Fairbanks' dog in it. But Fairbanks found out that the dog that he owned, the breed, did not exist back in the Middle Ages. Apart from the others, Prince John and Sir Guy of Gisborne, dizzy with wine and drunk with dreams of power. I can't talk. The King's Goblet. He decided to cut it out because he realized the dog just wouldn't fit in, because it wasn't of the era. This man did like his themed theaters, Kintron. Yes, he did. He did. And you know, for all... Oh my goodness. No, that is not a matte painting. That is an actual set. Union 20 kind of looks familiar. I don't know. Dog of a servant, this on the motto shall be mine, and everything that is the king's shall then be mine. It is true John did attempt a coup, essentially, when Richard was gone. Kintron, it's been in other Robin Hood movies, yes. A servant hath a friend, and his friend hath a friend. Be discreet, my prince. Zen, yeah, he did, and Eleanor quashed it like it was just another tantrum from her least reliable child. Eleanor was a really powerful woman. She was one of the most powerful women in Europe, if not the most powerful. In 20, with Olivier de Havilland. In fact, my dear scholars, if you want to see another movie that is about this specific family, what the heck are they doing? But if you want to see another film about this specific family, of royals, The Lion in Winter is a fantastic movie. And you get a lot more of the political infighting and little political machinations in that film. Union 20 with Olivia de Havilland? Yes. Union 20, Katharine Hepburn. Firefly, that won awards. Yes, The Lion in Winter did win awards. At such a time as this, it was more befitting that he try his love for a maid. Now, this film did win some awards. It won the 1923 winner of the Medal of Honor. Interesting, not sure what that is. It was the 1923 winner of the Photoplay Award, Best Pictures of the Month. Photoplay was a magazine. And 1923 winner of the Photoplay Award for Best Performances of the Month, Wallace Beery. Not sure things. Again, Photoplay magazine. Photoplay magazine was a very famous magazine at the time. Now, you might notice the screen is red. They're doing this to suggest the fires that are in the castle. Ah, come on. Why hast thou not a maid? Oh, the king's kind of pushy. When I return, good my liege. Nay, before you go, good my knight. What is he doing? You know, I'm not sure I would be friends with this king. Then again, if the king says you're my friend now, you're not going to actually question it. Private Mac, what is this? The William Tell Overture? Then Eleanor had a very tragic life before becoming Queen of Britain. She was married to the King of France, who divorced her because he was salty that she had more money than the French crown. When she was mid-travel from Paris to her home region of Aquitaine, this was basically him painting a target on her back because she no longer had the protection of the crown during her travel, meaning she could have kidnapped or killed on the way back. True, Zen. Very true. Firefly, I've been meaning to ask about the music. The music was specially composed for this film. Believe it or not, silent films did sometimes have scores written for them. In fact, very often, silent films would have two scores written. Usually one that was written specifically for theaters that could afford an orchestra, which is music like this. But there were also scores put together. You too shall have your pick of maidens, my Gisborne. There were also scores that were put together for smaller theaters, ones which, like Julian 20, with her family member, would be playing the piano on. They wouldn't be as impressive as these. So sits the wind in that. They'd be often very stock music, for instance, but they would be made for the film. Darth, why is it called a silent film when there's music and in me? Silent means no sound at all, not even music. Now that's an interesting thing. Silent films were not very silent. There was music, of course. Very often there was no dialogue or anything like that. But private matter, if they wouldn't utilize something like phonographs, would they? No. Well, here's the thing. She then almost immediately married the King of England and moved there. Sadly, that means she had to give up all contact with the young daughter she had with the King of France. They never saw each other again during their lifetime. That is sad. Yeah. Firefly, the music had to be done live. For much of the silent film era, yes, it was done live. Later, though, towards the later parts of the silent film era, what we often think about when it comes to, oh dear. When we often think about, the sound era, the beginning of the sound era, 1927, I think, was when Jazz Singer was, which was the first film with dialogue, recorded dialogue in it. Now, before that, recorded scores were used, and phonographs were starting to get installed into theaters. Like, you were questioning Private Maverick. The other thing that started getting used, even outside of phonographs, were sound effects. You forget tonight, I am a prince. It is only the prince who has forgotten. Private Maverick, hey Rob, he got your woman. He's going to deflower her in the tower. Ew. In 20. So, since there is no script for dialogue, they appear to be saying things. What would they be saying? How do they know to say certain things? They had a script. They do have a script. They're actors. It's some other films portray it as, you know, that they were acting or anything like that. They actually had a script. They had a script with dialogue. Now, the intertitles don't always match the dialogue being spoken. But they are speaking dialogue. There is a written script for them all to learn and things. So films were not that different from what became later. Now I'm sure those who can read lips would be able to tell what they're actually saying. I regret, Lady Marian, that a brother of our noble king should so degrade his knighthood. I fear you have incurred his enmity in my behalf. 'Twas but my knightly privilege. Because, of course, you had to learn dialogue so you knew what you were acting. You can't just... As odd as it might seem, you can't just mime an entire movie. You actually have to say things. Darth, lip reading is a skill I don't have. Again, bad Darth, I shall be... Zen, the problem with phonographs and wax cylinders is that they had to be changed mid-session because they wouldn't last the whole run. Yes, and the thing is, they had tried. In 20, we had to mime things at the ballet company. Oh, interesting. It's a common myth that people thought sound films would fail because they were so used to silent films and sound wasn't... was seen as unrealistic. The truth is, they had tried talkie films much earlier in film history. But the technology just really didn't work. Like Zen said, you know, problem with phonographs and wax cylinders when used for sound technology is it had to be changed. I never knew I made... Yeah, anyway. But because of that, for a little bit, those few sound films just were terrible, and they just were clunky and didn't work, and the sound quality was terrible. So for many people, when Jazz Singer was announced, it was less like, oh, this will never catch on because sound is unrealistic. It was more like, oh, this will never catch on because they tried it once before and it was terrible. Darth, I've just misread phonographs as something else. My brain fried. Stupid heat. Oh, take care, Darth. Don't want you to have problems. So originally, Little John was going to be played by an actor named Morris Lefty Flynn. According to someone who worked on the set, Lefty fell out of favor because he outshined Douglas Fairbanks during one of Fairbanks' daily workouts. So Fairbanks felt, yeah. So which is why Ellen Hale was chosen. Julian 20, is it true that when they changed to voice acting, lots of actors had problems because their voices weren't good? Kintron, they would resync people. Yes and no. It wasn't that simple. A northern kneeling host, the bishop lifts his hand in benediction. This sort of thing did happen with Crusades. Very often, there weren't a lot of cases where that happened. And the silent films actors very often were dropped less because of vocal problems and more because of intercompany politics. And also because often some of these actors just felt uncomfortable doing voice work. Some just weren't really interested. While on the battlements, Kinchon, actors could sometimes be able to sing. Yes. It was not as common as you might think. I mean, there are plenty of examples of actors who tried in the sound era, and some of them just weren't really. Again, they weren't interested, or they fell out of favor with their studios. Oh, that's cute. They're a cute little couple. I kind of like that they make Robin Hood here just a tiny bit dorky. He's just kind of a he's sweet, but he's kind of a dork in the best way. Like a playful little. Zen, you couldn't really record things properly with wax cylinders phonographs. They had to be dubbed over because otherwise someone could have stand right next to the actors with a speaker connected to the recording device. But this proved another issue. Background noise and neutral tone. When you record something in a room and then listen to it while looking at it, say, just in a field, the noises doesn't add up and it triggers the brain's uncanny response. Kinchon, he's a merry man after all. Yes. Yes, Zen. They actually solved some of the sound issues pretty quickly. One of the issues that often came up in some early sound films was the fact you had to keep the sound equipment very close. Huntington! Darth, he's also a stout, lusty man. Yes, he is. Which meant that for a time, what happened with films is when you watch silent films, there's a lot of wonderful cinematography, a lot of angles, a lot of high shots, low shots, a lot of actiony movement with the camera. But with early sound equipment, for the first, I want to say, 3 to 5 years of early sound equipment, well, not that close. I'd say about the first 2 years of sound, maybe. Something like that. They really had difficulty moving the camera around because they had to deal with the sound equipment being so close to the actors. I once knew someone who said about early sound that it meant that cinematography essentially regressed back by 10 years. And movies became very stagey again because they couldn't afford to move things quickly around. I leave in your keeping my dearest treasure. Guard her with your life. Darth, oh, and in the context of using lusty in it means something totally different than what the word means nowadays. I know, Darth, I know. I can guess that. See that Richard never returns from the Holy Land. John actually had nothing to do with Richard's kidnapping, by the way. He hunted its head for Lady Marion's hand, do not forget. It was more that Richard managed, and pardon my language, my dear scholars, pissed off one of the other kings. I can't remember which king it was. It was one of the Germanic kings. The Holy Roman Emperor, I believe. Who took him hostage on the way home. Drazov, Leopold. Yes, Leopold. Thank you, Drazov. He was Leopold of Austria, I believe. Was Austria? Yeah, something like that. Because Richard made the bad decision to go through his territory on the way back, so Leopold just had Richard picked up and put in a tower. Darth, pissed off isn't foul language. Yeah, it's... We haven't even gotten to the main plot, my dear scholars, if you notice. And so the very flower of England's knighthood marched on to its high purpose. I would argue about that word. Kintron, quack is foul language. Kintron! Zen, Richard annoyed half the other kings in the crusade. That's why no one intervened when he got held for ransom, because if they did, they'd have to deal with him again. Yes, he was not a very pleasant man. He was not a very personable man. But he was a good soldier by all accounts, which I guess proves something. Darth, good boy, good wolf, gives Kintron a nice piece of meat with bone in it. Darth, stop it! Scarce had the dust of the crusade settled to the ground when the dire mischief of Prince John was set afoot. Yulin 20, where was this filmed? This was filmed in California. When the throne is mine, I will reward those who serve me. To your task and spare no one. This is all filmed in California. I wonder if I can... I'll try and see if I can find a specific location. Excuse me. Let's see. Bronson Canyon, Griffith Park, Lake Sherwood, Sherwood Forest, both famous shooting locations in California. Darth, I love how Kintron and I found ways to annoy you even though you're not reading. We are a talented duo. Again, John didn't have to worry. I mean, well, he did at the time. He didn't know what was coming. It is also worth noting all of England fell under the pall of Prince John's perfidy. Oh, that's... oh, lovely. Unit 20, practically twins. They are. It is... I'll mention it later when the film ends. Wait, time out. Sherwood is technically a real place holy to the... there is a forest in California called Sherwood Forest, which was named after the fact that they shot Robin Hood in it. So they renamed the forest Sherwood Forest. I am the High Sheriff of Nottingham! Zen, the real Sherwood Forest is dinky. It is! It's a very small place. The poor who cannot pay the tax levy are forced to give up their belongings. Again, the poor were not taxed. No one taxes the poor. Because the poor have nothing to give. You couldn't hide a single sad sop there, let alone a whole band of merry men. Darth, I must go to this forest. I will do it clad in Lincoln green and try to look as stout and lusty as possible. It is worth noting the original Robin Hood tales had no setting, had no specific setting. In fact, some early Robin Hood tales mention a King Edward instead of King Richard. Oh. For spurning Prince John's addresses. In Richard's castle, Prince John's henchmen apprise him of their evil successes. Drazov, isn't it Ivanhoe that attaches Robin to the Richard-John rivalry, or was it already a thing by then? Drazov, it actually was already a thing by then, but it was Ivanhoe that actually revived the popularity of Robin Hood, believe it or not. Robin Hood had kind of faded into the background as a character until the Ivanhoe story was written. And Sir Walter Scott, I believe, wrote it, decided to put Robin Hood as a supporting character. I am probably never going to read Ivanhoe on this stream, don't quote me on that, because some things in that book have not aged terribly well. In 20, I think I have a first edition book of Ivanhoe. That would be worth an insane amount of money, Julian 20. If you have one of those. You have no idea how much money that would be. Have mercy on the people of England. Have mercy. Have mercy. Fret not your pretty head for such as they. Darth Ivanhoe, what a name. Ivanhoe, no. So the banquet hall set, I think this is the same set, is open air. So there's actually no ceiling to that set. A prince at home outranks a king abroad. Think you not so, beautiful lady? If Richard knew these things, there would be no prince at home. Richard doesn't really care. Well, Richard might have cared a little bit, because, if only because he wouldn't have liked John to step on his toes, as it were. That maid bears watching. In 20, I don't think any kids are the name Ivanhoe anymore. Yes, indeed. Take this message and sleep nor night nor day until you reach your master. That'd be quite a journey, given where they headed. Oh, little cut there. It would take a long time for him to get there. I mean, they're in England, and Richard is probably in the Holy Land, which means they take at least a month, maybe? Then Robin Hood came and went. His stories were passed around by troubadours and single-page parchments. Sometimes he was a playful rogue, sometimes a mean-spirited bandit, a rebel against the foul ruler, or even a clumsy oaf. Eventually, someone started making full books from the individual stories. To this day, most full stories of Robin Hood still read very episodically. Yes, Sen, and I have read one of them. Thank you for the drink, Yumiko. In fact, I'm going to take a drink of water for this one. Also, hello there, Yumiko. Welcome. Mark how Huntington spurs them on. He is the very backbone of the adventure. Yeah, so the Third Crusade, it ended in a very, well, I won't say odd way, but for many of the Crusaders, a very unsatisfactory way. The Crusaders never took Jerusalem, which was their goal, of course. What is he doing? A good way to crack my head, my master, would twere thy brothers. But, what ended up happening is Richard and the other kings basically cut a deal with Saladin, who was the head of the forces that they had been fighting, which allowed pilgrims into Jerusalem. To your tent, these fevers are but passing ills. Ere the night falls, thou wilt be able to march again. Darth, I'd feel bad if a kid was named Ivanhoe nowadays. All the jokes and names he'd endure. Ivanhoe the gardener, Ivan the hoe. Yes, indeed. He plays his tricks of discipline to cozen favors of the king, the sycophant. So, for many of the... But for discipline, I'll twist you round a tent pole and crack your spine. Oh my goodness, wow! But for many of the warriors and knights and kings, they were... It was kind of a... It was very much a letdown. They didn't win back the city, but they did manage to get some favors in. Zen, funny how the most common elements haven't joined the whole story. In the first tales, the maid he was interested in actually killed him by slicing his wrist or neck while he slept. Then she joined a nunnery. Yes, some of the earlier ones were very rough. Darth, woohoo, I got a pun past Matsu. Oh, now it reads. The people suffer and perish. The women of the castle hang their heads in shame. Intrigue and death lurk in every corner. Desperately my heart cries out to you. England is doomed, doomed. Kinshawn, nah, I'm sure he'd be quite the rate. You two are just gonna be the death of me, aren't you? If the king should know of this himself would return and this holy crusade would fail. It failed anyway. You don't have to worry about that. Union 20, is that Alan Hale? Yes, in the wig. Yes, that is Alan Hale. If Richard had but one friend in England, Zen. I think Little John actually predates the inclusion of Maid Marian in the common Second Crusade setting, but I can't say for sure. This is the Third Crusade, Zen, not Second Crusade. Yes, Little John does predate Maid Marian. Maid Marian and Friar Tuck were fairly late additions. There's some belief that Maid Marian actually was a part of what essentially were May Day festivities, May Day plays, which Robin Hood actually would figure in. It wasn't uncommon for there to be small little playlets on May Day festivities. My beloved, by some pretext I shall persuade the king to allow me to return. On the heels of this missive I shall be in England. Huntington. Darth, now I think Ivanhoe with his big mighty Darth. Bird. Speed this letter and prepare our departure. The trained falcon they're using came all the way from England. Actually, it was specially. Ah. Darth, bird, bird, bird is the word. I pray you, my lord and king, to speak again your trust to me which you have so oft professed. What? As I trust my right hand, do I trust you. You are my friend. Then, my liege, your leave and favor to return to England without unfoldment of my purpose. AK, let me go, and I... By the way, I won't have to tell you what's going on. Darth, oh, by the way, don't even try throwing a popcorn kernel at me in retaliation, Matsu. I'll just zap it with force lightning. Then you'll have burnt popcorn kernels. Why would you want to burn the popcorn kernels? I humbly beseech you, not as my king, but as my friend, to place unquestioned this trust in me. Excuse me. He's asking a lot. Oh, hello there, Sophia. Welcome, and thank you for the resubscribe. You're EP. Okay, Sophia, well, just relax and watch the movie. 'Tis not the maid. Dr. Zane, but Darth, you want to do that because that will heat up the kernel and pop it, and then you'll have soft, tasty popcorn. Kentron, hi, EP. How you doing? You turned chicken-hearted for a wench. What? That was a quick turn of the behavior? You do but jest. Go join the lances of your king. Again, I can see Robin's reason for not doing it. Sire, what needs doing must be done, but my heart aches that your friendship fails me. Drezov, I like this unhinged version of Richard. So it's not that different from Richard. Richard was, by some accounts, not the most stable of persons. Oh, we're gonna see some animal violence for this. Zen, Matsu, you're familiar with the Fate series, right? Yes, I am very familiar with the Fate series, Zen. Darth, I EP teach. I'm an EP Sith who's melting with heat. Yet I'm still able to torture Matsu with memes and jokes about a whole... Bring it to me! Zen, are you familiar with the interpretation of Robin Hood and Richard I? I'm familiar with the interpretation of Robin Hood. But not so much Richard I, I think. Sire, you must trust me. We wait not on permission. We go to England through hell itself should gape and bid us stay. Then, okay, so you know he straight up declares, I'm not the Robin Hood, I'm a Robin Hood. Because the lore is so fragmented, there can never be one true individual. Yes, well, no, I didn't know about that aspect. That is interesting. That's fascinating. Oh, whoa! Alright, when do we get to the part when Robin Hood is stealing stuff with stout, lusty, and clad in Lincoln green? Oh, come on! How's he gonna make an excuse for that? 20. Oh my. We haven't even gotten back to England yet. We're still stuck in the Crusades. Yeah, I shot this guy and he's guilty or something. A deserter. Kinshon Desertion. Desertion. Is this true? And that excuses shooting the guy? Then he straight up has severe imposter syndrome because he feels like he can never live up to the hype of his tales. Aw, that's a shame. The truth is that back in England... Oh! Kinshon, deserters were often killed when found. That is true, Kinshon, that is true. And he also needs Robin alive. Well, not alive, but he needs him besmirched. Sire, the penalty is death. Music. Oh, thank you for the posture check, Julian20. Have his wound attended. Music. Kinshon, that's a lot of furs. Yes, Kinshon, that's what happened to all the wolves who started talking puns during the movie. Place him in that tower. He will remain a prisoner until our return. See to it that he is well cared for. Yeah, you're trusting his health to the man who, well, you wouldn't know they shot him. But my liege, the penalty is death! Ooh. My command, obey! Yeah, don't talk back to the king, especially King like Richard. Darth, that doesn't look like wolf fur to me. Kinshon, that's worse than scalping tickets. Zen, also Richard the One recently joined Fate Go. That's probably why I don't know about it. And because he's based on a real person, he has more concrete memories. And when he meets the Robin Hood, we know he straight up says, I have no idea who that man is. He has some familiar traits, but he's not the Loxley I know. Interesting. That is really interesting, Zen. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with Fate, so that's probably why I didn't know there was a Richard the First in it. Ooh. Ooh! So how are they gonna get out of this one? Then they made him a huge King Arthur fanboy. Oh, interesting. Give them food and drink until our last column is well on its way, then let them rot. In England, Lady Marian's serving woman comes under the dread inquisition of John. Zen, dude literally calls everything he holds Excalibur. That is funny. Tell me what has become of Huntington Squire. Oh. Oh, that's awful. I'll tell, 'tis true. He did carry information from my mistress to the king. Oh, that guy's face is great. Oh! Darth, burn, baby, burn. No, we don't want to burn her. What was that for? Excuse me again. Lady Marian shall pay for this with her life. So much for meddling. We're still kind of in the era, by the way, in silent films of theatrical acting. Pretty much, I want to say by the mid-20s, acting started to become more and more subtle and more realistic. I mean, it's a common stereotype that everyone overacts in silent films. They learned fairly early on that you really didn't have to do that. Mostly the idea was that people got very attached to the idea of theater acting, where you have to act big for people in the back to see you. But in a movie, there's no necessary need. So, as time went on, acting in films became more subtle, more subdued, and more realistic. Quick, fly for your life. He means to kill. Kinchon, you can't use your words, so you have to use emoting. Zen, medium transfer. Drazov, it's essentially the opera singing via crooning thing, just with visuals instead of sounds. Darth, I know that as a Sith Lord approves of this violence. Yes. Yeah, that is true. You use emoting, but people very quickly found out that, people can read body language pretty easily. You don't need wild arm movements or things like that nature. You just need to act like you would normally. It did require a little bit extra to do, but it wasn't the over-the-top wild gestures that you would see in many early silent films. Oh, that's a neat little shot. After her! Bring her back! I'll put an end to tattling! So here's another little fun fact. When they did The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1938, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., the son of Douglas Fairbanks, was actually offered the part. But he turned it down because he didn't want to be seen as essentially copying his father's performance in this film. Which is understandable. He wanted to be his own man. Then, like I said, medium transfer. Movies don't need the over-the-top emoting that stage play did, and early TV, due to screen size, couldn't handle wide shots and had to focus more on close shots. Though as recording resolution and the TV screen size increased, this became less true. Very true, Zen. And I like that they turned the screen green here to suggest the lusciousness of the forest and the green plants. Because if you know anything about California, no offense to California, it can be very, while they can have wonderful green plants and trees, their grounds are very dusty. Very often. Now that is a matte painting. Scarce was the last column of England's knighthood well on its way when... Zen, to quote Monty Python, it's only a model. Yes. Matte paintings were very much Yulia 20. Are there no married men in this movie? There are, we just haven't gotten to them yet. Ooh. We're very much... The movie basically has a lot of early plot in this. We even get to the whole Robin Hood aspect. Unlock the door. Can't blame Little John for being a little bit pissed off. Zen unlocks the door. Harder! What? What? Darth harder, that's what she said. Douglas Fairbanks, outside of these action films, was also known for doing light comedies, believe it or not. While Douglas Fairbanks has done plenty of swashbuckling manner of films, he did some fairly wide variety of different genres. To England with all haste, there's work to do. So we are halfway through the movie now. We have another hour to go. While in England, sturdy men rebellious to Prince John's tyranny sought refuge in Sherwood Forest. Darth, hey, Zen, handed that one to me on a golden platter. I had to take it. I understand. So, the merry men in this film, many of them at least. Let me see if I can find that information. Prince John's deed. Many of the merry men who acted as extras were actually members of the Los Angeles Angels. That I find interesting. Darth, also they use sturdy men. How dare they not use the proper term of stout, lusty men? These lusty rebels, there you go, Darth. Only waited a leader to wield them into a band, an outlaw band, destined to live immortal in legend and story. Julian 20, baseball? Yes, baseball players. A friend of Richard returns to his native soil. You know what's remarkable? Not a drop of rain in this film. I mean, if it is England. Good my lord, poor Lady Marian, 'twas on this very spot here, a riderless horse, an overturned saddle. Darth, applause, me happy again. Oh, I think she's dead. To God, to Richard, and to her. Thus it was that Huntington buried his yesterday. Here began a new life. A life to be dedicated to revenge, bitter but joyous. Zen, and coming to bat, Will Scarlet, and he has a bat the size of a small tree. That's got to be against the rules. In far-off Palestine, Richard again... It's hard to keep up with the teacher titles, they move so quickly. Then Palestine? That was the term used by the, and in that point in history. A year passed, and then from the mysterious depths of Sherwood Forest came whispers of the rise of a robber chief. Drazov, the narrator, he totally won, folks! Don't worry about it! Zen, didn't the Third Crusade end in the walls of Turkey? No, it ended outside of Jerusalem, I believe. Robin Hood! Darth, also Matsu, I must correct, it's not the Los Angeles Angels at the time of this movie. They were called the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Huh, interesting. Let me double check that, Zen. I might be wrong. No, it ended at the city of Jaffa. Yeah. 'Tis the naked arrow of Robin Hood, and sings death to the enemies of King Richard. So, when they were filming this, Fairbanks actually allowed the public on the set, believe it or not, as part of a charity benefit for the Assistance League. Rather than seeing the public's intrusion as a nuisance, Fairbanks actually allowed visitors on the set for the rest of the shoot, setting up bleachers near the outdoor castle set and directing guests with signs that said, "Follow Robin Hood's arrow." Zen, they were kicked back from Constantinople and then went south instead. Yes, indeed. The Three Lions of Richard. It is Robin Hood's manner of saying, if ye be brave, come to Sherwood Forest. Richard is your king. All that off Three Lions, huh? Again, the Third Crusade was a little less messy than the Fourth Crusade was, at least. Fourth Crusade was a nightmare. The Rich Man of Wakefield. Oh, he doesn't look very rich. I mean, lean against his own. Oh, that's him. That's him. Oh! He seems to be everywhere. I confess I am helpless. Our very soldiers desert to join this outlaw's band. Shall no one rid me of this troublesome priest? Oh, wrong king, wrong king. Fetch me a bag of gold. Okay. Lands and a bag of fine gold to the one who captures this Robin Hood, John. Dress off. Look, Mr. Will, no one rid me of this meddlesome priest was my father. Oh, Lord. I just remembered Dress off. I was making that as a joke, but yeah, it was his father. It was Henry II who did that. I almost completely I was actually doing that. Oh. I was doing that as a mere joke. I forgot that was his father. For those who don't know, by the way, Henry II was involved in Robin Hood. Was involved in the murder of a certain priest. Trying to remember Becket, but I can't remember his first name. Thomas Becket, who was killed in a oh my goodness gracious, what is it called? Who was killed in a church by a pair of knights who misinterpreted Henry's complaints about, oh my goodness gracious, about Becket into an order to have him killed. Becket, Henry actually ended up going to Rome to beg forgiveness for the death. And by many accounts, he actually was fairly sorry that he had been responsible. Then I know I was just confused because I thought this was Crusade that was barred entry to Turkey through a hissy fit and went home. That might have been 4. Zen. Well, 4 was when they burnt down Constantinople. Again, this Robin Hood is kind of fun. Aww. Now we got sad Robin Hood. Zen, yeah, it was 4. Yeah, 4 was a cluster fire of everything that could go wrong. Went wrong. Darth, there's the Robin Hood I know and love, clad in Lincoln green. Oh! Jeez! Holy... Oh, whoa! 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 Yearly 20. OMG, Dr. Lady wasted. Whoa! Whoa! Zen, when the idiots press the fucking toss vault and pillage the Christian state. Yes. Darth, my reaction to that was the same as yours, Matsu. Yeah, whoa! Robin is not messing around here. 1922 Robin Hood, leaping about and laughing. Also 1922 Robin Hood, grabbing a man and using him as a frickin' shield, arrow shield. Said, dude just fucking deadlifted that fresh corpse. Yes! I believe they once tried to duplicate that, see if that would work in real life, sliding down like that. The truth is, there's actually a slide hidden in the curtain there. Music. Then, ah yes, convenient drapery. Oh. So how many pieces of this paper does he carry with him, and where does he carry it? Why did he stay there? Darth, I was about to ask if there was a slide. It looked too good for a fall. $1,020,000 in his purse. Oh. Yeah, they hit a slide there to make it easier for it. Funny enough, I'm not sure who mentioned Ivanhoe, but Fairbanks was actually considering doing a film version of Ivanhoe before he decided to do a Robin Hood movie. Using. Oh! Whee! Will Scarlet. Friar Tuck. Little John. And he's just skipping around like that. Draws off, this is an amazing way to introduce the lads. Robin Hood's lair. Zen, the same thing with the pirates sliding down the sails by slashing. Zen, it wouldn't work. No, it wouldn't. Are we already forgetting that Robin Hood used a man as a frickin' meat shield? Alan Adale. $1,020,000. It took an hour and a half to get to this. Yes, I mean, 3 blasts. I mean, they wanted to build it up. In real life, being an outlaw would be absolute misery. I mean, oh my goodness, there's a lot of people. Being an outlaw meant basically anyone could kill you. We rob the rich, relieve distressed, undamned John to score. will take a life if sorely pressed till Richard reign once more. Drazov, him also wanting to make Ivanhoe explains a lot of the first half. I didn't think about that. That is true, Drazov. Intermission. We have an intermission. 6 minutes, and we're back. Oh, Prince John's dark schemes are spent in distant lands. That was a very quick 6 minutes. Oh, there's Guy. Darth Red be an outlaw, then an in-law. At least I'd be wanted as an outlaw. Julian 20 didn't even get to pee. Yeah. They, being an outlaw meant that essentially the law had no hold over you. Which you might think is good, but it also meant that anyone could kill you and get away with it. Anyone could do anything to you and get away with it. You are not protected by the law anymore. You have a target on your back for the rest of your life. You know, Guy, you could at least stay and find out if you actually killed him or not. At least make sure of that. Did he stab it? Yes, he stabbed it twice. Now for England and my reward. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well. Again, why didn't you check? You didn't 20, but you didn't even see what he stabbed. Alas, poor fool, thou hast played king once too often. He killed the fool! But the thing is, Richard now knows something's up. Gisborne. That is Richard, Julian 20, yes. Now, the next following year, there was actually a sequel to this movie, more or less, which was On the Morrow, a messenger from England relates the full measure of Prince John's treachery. Which was called King Richard the Lionhearted. It's basically a sequel, with Walsbury playing Richard again. But no Robin Hood. Let John get his belly full. Darth, so it is the guy of Gisborne. In 20, I'm confused. When did he show? Richard's been here for a while. In Sherwood Forest, a gallant outlaw, sometime now known as Robin Hood, hath a band of fellows, and doth thwart the prince at every turn. A robber knight, eh? Methinks I know who 'tis. Quick to horse, we go to England, mayhaps to join this outlaw's band. He's pretty happy for having failed in his war. Which was his big thing, you know? It was the whole purpose he was running around. Prince John's hired soldiers levied tribute on the priory of St. Catherine's. Julian 20, Mwahahaha! Has this prince no regard for Holy Church? The church and... Well, here's the thing. It wasn't this wasn't uncommon. The royals and the church did not get along all that great. The monarchs of England very often try to get their hands on church property. The church, the Holy Church at the time in England, was probably one of the biggest and most wealthiest landowners in the entire country. While nearby, Robin Hood and his merry men distribute dole to needy villagers. Zen, for starters, the sails aren't taut enough to catch a blade like that. Second, ship sails are stupid thick. Won't be able to slide very far down even if you manage to catch your blade there. And third, the mast's main sail ends about 12 feet from the ground, so you still have a fair drop to the deck. Yes, indeed. Darth, his merry men in tights. Whoa, that's a leap. Zen, now I got the song from Robin Hood Men in Tights in my head. Excuse me. Stop skipping, please! For the love of all, stop skipping! Oh my goodness, do all of them skip? They're prancing fancy fellows! Dressoff, these men are very merry. They are very merry! Starting to wonder if they're on something. Woo! Zen, actually skipping is the most energy efficient mode of locomotion humans are able to do. Oh, that is interesting. Run! Oh, whoa, whoa. They are of the Priory of St. Catherine's. The Priory Garden. Darth, Coke. I'm gonna go Coke. Excuse me. Wow, he's kind of rude. Oh, so that's a very nice priory. It is Robin Hood and his men! What are they doing? Oh, I see. Union 20, I went to St. Catherine's, that was a girls' college. Oh, interesting. Union 20, I hated it. Is not that the Earl of Huntington? Zen, that's pretty joyous that none at the mention of a bunch of men. That's true. 'Tis Robin Hood. Robin Hood to the poor, mayhaps, but he was born Robert, Earl of Huntington. Darth, it could have been Coke as it was invented in 1886, but by the time the movie came out, Coke had no Coke in it. Oh! Oh, there she is! What? What? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, they are pretty excited to have men in their The place where there's not supposed to be any men. Zen, a woman? Yes, I believe that is Marion. In a nunnery? Robin, come down. Robin, come on. You can prepare thyself. Within these holy walls there is someone dear to you. What? Lady Marion, does he have to spell it out to him? Have to spell this. What? Yeah, Robin's coming down from the from whatever he had. To myself, I like the hand over head gesture being used for emphasis by big dudes. Oh yeah. Aww. I actually kind of like that they pull back for the shot rather than do any close-ups there. Scares a day's journey away, a menace to their newfound happiness. Oh, it's him. Sir Guy of Gisborne. I think one of the reasons they very often kind of push Guy as a main... 'Tis the Earl of Huntington with Lady Marion! They often promote Guy to being the main villain for Robin rather than, say, the Sheriff Nottingham, who's barely in this movie. Is that... Each day do loyal men rally to our cause. 'Twill not be long ere we storm the very castle itself. Is because I think having the idea of... Back then, I'll say. Having the idea of someone in a position of lawful power like that, and having someone else who is very obviously the hero, fighting against said, and 100 troopers approach, fighting against said hero, said law officer, would leave a bad taste in the mouth of some audience members. Back then, I will state. And having Guy of Gisborne frees up a character who isn't necessarily tied directly with the, what's the word I'm looking for? When the lark sings in the morn, I'll send you a message to re-speak my love. The hierarchies of power. So Guy is essentially acts as a easy to go for free agent of evil for these stories, rather than someone who is a corrupt official. Robin Hood is the Earl of Huntington. Took you this long? Lady Marion Fitzwalter lives! Zen, the castle? You mean to take it? Surely with the tactics you used to take the Holy Land, Robin, yes, taking the Holy Land, that's what we did. Not staying in a field for months, dying of cholera and malaria. Surround this band of outlaws with all your men. By hook or crook, take Huntington alive. Seize that wench, nice. Drag her here. She shall die the death promised. It's interesting that this version does not include what ended up being in the 1930s a big focus, the Norman-Saxon rivalry. Which wasn't a thing, actually. By this point in history, Normans and Saxons were really kind of mixed. It wasn't really a thing. Union 20, they don't know Richard's back? No, they do not know Richard is back. To Lady Merrin, tell her that when the sun drops o'er Nottingham Hill, I'll come to her. Yes, I'd sure love to live out there in the woods with the bugs and the rats and the animals and the no getting sleep at night. No real protection from rain or storm. Drazov, one of the odd bits from Ivanhoe, though, in the 30s one, I think it is a very subtle commentary on American racism. You know what, Drazov? I will admit, I haven't seen any version of Ivanhoe. I'm going to have to fix that. Darth, we all know that wench means right now. Need for me to put the definition here, right? Kid shot, I was away from the computer, heard complain about Robin and the boys frolicking. I started humming Meditites. Yeah. Union 20, getting the hantavirus with desert rats. Yeah, living the life back then was not really great. It wasn't as dirty as everyone thinks, but it wasn't living a great life. This takes place in what's known as the High Middle Ages. Union 20, what year? Oh boy, that is a good question. Need to check. So this would be about 1193, probably. Anytime after 1192, because the Third Crusade has ended. Darth saying the High Middle Ages, given how they were carrying on earlier. Yes, indeed. So this is any time after 1192. Excuse me. All the troops from Nottingham Town surround the forest. Nottingham Town has troops? 'Tis a good time to take the town. Oh, that's kind of brilliant, actually. Because while they're surrounding them, they can't protect the town. To the trees with all our men, entrap these troops. I go to Nottingham with Scarlet and Alan a Dale. We three shall take the town. Fun fact, if you actually recall my reading of The Adventures of Robin Hood, in some versions of Robin Hood stories, Will Scarlet is actually Robin Hood's nephew. He's the son of Robin Hood's sister. Union 20, interesting. Yes, in some versions. In the 1930s version, they actually combine Will Scarlet with Alan a Dale. And it gets even crazier than that. In the original stories, there's like 3 Wills in Robin Hood's band. Will Scarlet, Will Studley, and one other Will who I can't remember. Zen, if I remember, he got exiled from where he lived because he accidentally killed a guy in a duel. Yes, that is exactly what happened, Zen. So he was forced into outlawdom. Julian 20, Will Smith? I don't think so. The Fresh Prince of Sherwood. While in the forest, Robin Hood's men entrapped the troops. Dr. Stadium, just wait, Hollywood will get there. Julian 20, Will Wheaton. Are we going to list every Will in this tonight? It actually takes quite a bit of training to shoot effectively with a longbow. So anyone who worked with a longbow, and you were expected to learn with a longbow back then, was actually quite skilled. Near the gates of Ninehem Tower. Kintron, I thought Will Robinson... danger, danger. But there's an interesting thing with the longbow versus the crossbow. The crossbow, when it came out, actually got banned. Well, there were calls for banning it because it takes you quite a bit of time to learn how to get really good at a longbow. It takes you about 5 minutes to know how to get really good at a crossbow. Zen, not because he wanted to, but because Will Scarlet is comically strong. In his introduction fight in one of the stories, he uproots a small tree with just one hand and uses it as a club. I remember that in the story. I remember that. Oh, I'm going to do a little bit of advertising here, my dear scholars. If you haven't, check out my reading of The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. The entire playlist with all the previous reading streams of it is available on my YouTube channel. So just look for Matsu Quinox and look for Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. Many of the stories, that face, many of the stories Zen is mentioning is in that book. Drazov, is it the Howard Pyle version of the story? It is, Drazov. That I read that story. It was an interesting time. Not one of my favorite books to read, except for the final few chapters when Howard Pyle finally somehow managed to blow me out of the water with how good the text was. Zen, sub-tier YouTube. Oh, thank you, Zen. Yulian20, and well done, too. Yes. Yes, for those who haven't subbed to my YouTube channel contained the Princess Soldiers, Lady Marian brutally abducted, the Saints protect her, fly to your master. Drazov, I've only seen this in Thief of Baghdad, but Fairbanks is one of the best smug looks ever. Yes, he does. Thief of Baghdad is really fun, too. But yes, if you haven't subbed to my YouTube channel, the YouTube... Hello there, Dragon Thunder, welcome. We are watching the Robin Hood 1922. My YouTube channel has all my previous streams on them in easy-to-find playlists. It also has YouTube-only shorts and some YouTube-only pre-recorded streams. So yeah, check it out if you want to. Dragon Thunder, sub Matsu's YouTube channel. He dances like this all the time in his short. This version, Marian is quite a target. John is kind of vicious in this version. This is probably one of the nastier versions of John I've seen in a Robin Hood adaptation. There are some adaptations that even go so far as to not include John at all. Kevin Costner's infamous Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, does not have Prince John at all in the story. Kintron, I'd be vicious too if everyone kept calling me Little. Ron John, Kintron, Ron John. Dragon, Men in Tights has the best characters. They do a good job with Men in Tights. It's a great little parody. It's a lot of fun. Drazov, Prince of Thieves is the best Forgotten Realms movie ever made, even over the D&D movie. Interesting. Interesting. There's a fun fact with Prince of Thieves. Richard is dead. Long live King John. You're a little early with that. Prince of Thieves has a character in it, which was created in the mistaken belief that said character was an original Robin Hood character, Heralds to the North, when in fact the character was invented for a British television series version of Robin Hood, which I believe is called Robin of Sherwood. Which I've never actually seen, but I've heard is quite good. He seeks Robin Hood. He wears a silly helmet. Why seek you Robin Hood? He says mayhap to join him, mayhap to slay him. So ho, my pretty knight, to do either you needs must prove your mettle first. I'll nop your scope. Your scop. Is it scop or scope? You know what's kind of funny? In the Howard Pyle version, they don't use the arrows all that often. Most of the fighting's done with wooden stick. With such strength, thou almost makest me think thou art Richard himself. Yeah, it almost seems like that, doesn't it? Zen, joke's on you, I've had my scope surgically removed at the age of 10. Each member of this band hath an arrow in yon tree. Speed yours! Kintron, secretly that's a buck and a quarter staff. Oh! Exulting in their freedom, the people of Nineham Town hang Prince John in effigy. That's... I don't know if that's a smart move right now. Private Maverick, I shall fight you with my quarterstaff. My sword costs me $1.50. I mean... Yeah, they've freed Nineham, but is it smart to... We'll take a life if sorely pressed till Richard reign once more. Joke's on you, Robin. As soon as Richard gets back, he's heading out again. This was a full... This set was fairly big, too. This is Nineham village set. They built a full village. Soldiers have carried her away to the castle. Both the castle set and this set were designed by Floyd Wright, the son of what's his name? Goodness gracious. Kintron, a better term for the peasants are revolting serfs. Kintron! The village and the castle were designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Yes, thank you, Firefly. Thank you. Frank Lloyd Wright's son designed the castle and the village, not Frank Lloyd Wright. His son did. Zen, I'll lash them till they bleat. That's pretty sussy there, Huntington. You know, the thing is, though, that this film doesn't mention is that if John wanted to take the throne, he would have to guarantee that everyone supported him. If any great number of the barons revolted against him, he would definitely have a hard time holding it. And if I recall correctly, John actually did try to reach out to the King of France when he did his little coup, hoping that France would back him in his move, but it didn't. Zen, and you know who really didn't want him in the throne? Eleanor. Yes, Eleanor did not want him on the throne at all. She was very much, Richard was her favorite. Gives Kintron a whole, Darth gives Kintron a whole roasted pig and ale for that pun. Oh, come on. If you're wondering about the other brother who I mentioned, Jeffrey, Jeffrey wasn't particularly interested in the throne from all accounts. He was much more interested in being the power behind the throne. He didn't really seek out the throne at all. This was a real slime ball. Close the drawbridge! Oh, that's a nice little stunt. Zen, in fact, when France was contacted to join John's coup, Eleanor countered with, if you attack England, Aquitaine will never send another grain to the capital. Which is a big deal. Oh. Robin just likes using meat shields, doesn't he? Which is a big deal, because Aquitaine was a fairly wealthy area of France at the time. Zen, Aquitaine was one of the richest provinces of all of France. Still is. Yes, it still is. Gisborne. This is not the best time to faint here, Marion. Marion, you could... Oh! Oh, this is pretty vicious. Zen, dang, that's some strong ivy. Yes, it was. The other useful thing with having Oh, whoa! Is he... Oh! Robin! Oh! That's nasty. Jaws up stretched around the pole as mentioned earlier. Yeah, he basically broke his spine. That's yeah. Oh, that's painful. And the fact that he laughs. My men are on their way. Watch for them. That's a nasty way to die. If they fail. This is a pretty dark Robin Hood film. Even with the prancing, it's pretty vicious. Zen, I mean, she already attempted suicide once. That is true. Excuse me. Darth, he stretched him out real good. That was fun to watch for me, at least. I love this Robin Hood, so dark and violent, perfect for the Sith Lord soul. Yeah, it is. This is pretty dark. 3 blasts. I surrender! Darth, damn, that guy's gonna blow you. Said he on yeah, that man's spine, he did. Robin Hood is taken. The thing with the Robin Hood films and using John as the main villain also means that in order to remain realistically historical, you can't actually have John die or get into any nasty position. Because of which I'll explain later after the film's done what actually happened. Whoa! What actually happened after the whole events with Richard. But I'll wait till after this film's done to do that. Because it's interesting. For the archers, make ready. We shall teach you which way to face. Bind him to yon post. When I dip my dagger, he dies. Then, joke's on you. The permanent brain damage from the malaria fevers gives me resistance to concussions. No. No. We have captured the outlaws. Lower the bridge. Excuse me. This movie, by all accounts, had how many extras did it have? About as many as 1,200 extras in some of the larger sequences. It was an immense movie. Marion, don't. Then sure is windy. Well, that's probably because, again, it's an open-air set. There's no ceiling, so probably wind is blowing everywhere. Oh! Sudden reveal! Then Robin Hood 1922 is filmed in front of a live studio typhoon. You know, I'll say this. Yulia 20, oh, hugs. Yeah, aw. The funny thing. Prince John like, oh, shite, I'm fucked. I'll say this. The sword fighting in this is probably much more accurate to actual sword fighting than Errol Flynn's flitting style. A lot of chaos. A lot of moving around. You would think that well, no. Because many of those soldiers are probably loyal to John still, so they wouldn't. Up. The High Sheriff of Nottingham, who barely is in this movie, apparently. Whoa! Oh, is he actually... He's lifting him off his feet! Prince John's chief henchman. He's actually lifting him off his feet! What the? And Richard reigns once more! We'll talk about that after the end of this. They really are getting into something. Okay, you left Richard out. That means what exactly? I mean, he's just staying out there. Oh, Mommy's gonna be so angry with him. Oh! Zen, bad Richard, bad. Sleep in the yard. It's John, bad John, not Richard. Mommy's gonna be so pissed off at John. Huntington! 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 Hear ye all! They were still fighting? Why were they still fighting? Until now, Richard has never bowed his head to man. But I did mistrust my friend, and with all humility do ask forgiveness. This is very not Richard. Huzzah! 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 Barely. Tonight! What? Tonight what? Tonight what? That night. Oh. Dr. Stadium threesome. Zed, threesome it is, I guess. Yeah. In the courtyard. Oh, they're gonna do it in the courtyard? Oh, wait, I see. The bride and the groom escaped the wedding revels. Again, it's a nice little thing with tinting the visual dark blue for the night. Oh, well, are we going to, Oh, yeah, Richard Darth. That night, Robin Hood changed his love to the court in the courtyard for all his stout, lusty men to see. Oh, Richard. Yeah, yeah, don't. Oh, that's a nice visual. That's a really nice visual, actually. Darth lusty they were at the sight of Robin's family. Kidshot, Richard, no cock blocking. Richard, no. Aww, that's sweet. Zenny was promised a threesome, and by golly, he'll have one. Oh, come on, Richard. The end. Copyright 1922. You need 20. What a dick. So this was actually the I believe, was this the music that was used? Let me double check. So this was some of the actual music that was used for this film, which is nice. It's a nice choice. All right. Kinshon, he doth not have his sock on thine door. Darth Richard, just because you can't get action does not give you the right to bother Rob. What a great film. Thank you. All right. All right. So, like I promised, what actually happened after the coup? So, it's worth noting that, yes, I think John was actually punished for a time, but Richard actually forgave John. And there was a legitimate reason why he forgave John, and that was because Richard had no legitimate heir. We do know that he did have an illegitimate child, but an illegitimate child does not cannot inherit the throne. You're telling what a great film. Thank you, Darth. Oh yes, tis was a good movie. It took me until the end to go the rail. um, so what ended up happening is Richard went back to fighting. There were a bunch of uprisings that had happened around his, I believe his some of his lands while he was gone. Um, During one siege, I can't remember the exact location. Richard was shot by an arrow, fatally. According to one source, the individual who shot him was the young son of the man whose castle Richard um, was attacking. Now, according to one source, this is according to one source, Richard, before his death, actually asked that the boy be spared. When Richard died, his men had the boy torn apart, essentially, drawn and quartered. John took the throne. Not an easy time as ruler. Again, he had a lot of personality issues, which didn't go well with ruling. He was a terrible soldier, for one thing, which you had to be back. You had to be a good soldier back in the Middle Ages being king. He eventually went to war with his barons. They did an uprising. They forced him to sign Magna Carta, which put power in the hands of the barons rather than the king. More power. Mostly for money reasons again. Eventually, John attempted to go to war again. There was another uprising against the barons. Um, John was during that time the King of France was actually invited to rule England, believe it or not, for a very short time. John had fled. He during his fleeings he actually lost the crown jewels in a marshland. They're still lost. No one knows where they are now. Uh, but John eventually grew ill and and he passed away. He is not the best. He's actually a terrible king. He's a terrible king. I won't lie. But yeah, in a weird way, you if you want to put it one way, Robin Hood's whole goal of putting Richard back on the throne and getting John punished ended up for naught because John ended up king anyway. Um, but yes, that was Robin Hood, 1922, and a little history lesson for you as well. So, my dear scholars, next week, starting next week, we are starting a very special event for the rest of the month. We'll be doing, I don't have the logo unfortunately uploaded here, Camp Quinox. We'll be doing a whole bunch of camp-related games and camp-related special streams. We'll be doing some collabs. Look forward to it. And the very first stream we'll be doing for Camp Quinox will be on Monday. We'll be doing a special Minecraft stream where I am going to attempt to build a either a log cabin or a lodge in in Minecraft. So we'll see how that goes. And I haven't planned what Thursday's stream will be yet. We'll see. I'll keep you informed. Kinchon, too late to be known as John the First, sure to be known as John the Worst. Yes. Yuli 20. Oh, fun. Zed, if you wanted to be camp, you could have just done it during Pride Month. That is true. That is true. Yuli 20. Yes. But yes, look forward to that. We'll have some more updates on the streams that are planned out. And yeah, we'll all have some fun. So then, let's see who we can raid tonight before I go. Okay, just gonna. Let me see what they're doing. Um, let's raid Mossmellow Bun. They're doing some art for Art Fight. Might be some fun to do something a little bit low energy, a little relaxing. So then, my dear scholars, I say unto you, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Till we meet each other again at the study. Take care, and I shall see you next time. Till then, farewell and bye bye.